Now, I don't remember much of 2002 because I wasn't born. I also don't remember much of 2005 because I was only 2. But a lot of classic anime has come out during the early 2000s. And well, I have watched one of them. That being Full Metal Panic. I watched both Full Metal Panic and Full Metal Panic Second Raid. And well, I have mixed feelings about it. So let's just jump right into it. Starting with Full Metal Panic. Before I start talking about Full Metal Panic, I just want to disclose that this video is going to be entirely unscripted. Unlike the last time I made a video like this, which was completely scripted, I wrote everything beforehand. And some people, including myself, thought that I sounded super boring. So now I'm gonna try to do it unscripted and see if that actually makes me not sound like the audio equivalent of wading through mud, as one person put it. Very nice simile, by the way. I actually really like it. Good job! Okay, enough messing around. Now that I got that out of the way, let's just begin. Full Metal Panic. You know, the first season. Well, to put it simply, I found it generic. It was very generic. Um, the mecha battles were cool. Obviously, you can never make giant robots fighting each other not cool. But I thought for the most part it was very bland. The main character is the most generic anime protagonist you can imagine. He's an idiot. He is almost invincible. And he well, in this case it's mostly accidental, but for the most part he is a pervert. And it's just like he has almost no distinct personality aside from the fact that he's completely bland. I guess that is his distinct personality in a way. There's no character development for Sasuke. He kind of stays the same the entirety of the season. I think the only time he has a little bit of like character development or like you start to see like something is when he gets sent to Hamajistan and like kills one of his childhood friends and like the rest of his comrades die and it's like really crappy and it really affects him mentally. But then in like I think in like one episode or then in like half an episode he recovers from it and it's like completely back to normal. So you're left just sitting there being like, okay then. Another thing I had a problem with was Chidori, but this is more like my personal opinion because it's either you like tsunderes or you hate tsunderes. I hate tsunderes, so I did not like Chidori. I found her very annoying. Her constantly just being like pissed at Sasuke all the time, but just being unreasonable about it. Like he's literally going on like life and death missions, and she's like, "Oh, you forgot to bring my notes, you bastard," and like gets all like pissed at him. And then she's also like, "I don't like him. He's a dumbass." But then she's like, actually in love with him. It's really annoying. I hate that. But that's just more my opinion. And I didn't like the episodes where it was just like them in school because yeah, it was funny to a certain extent, but it's like again, I think Chidori was really annoying in the first season, so I kind of end up just being like, okay, cool, can we just get to the plot now? Like, can we just continue the main story? Again, though, I think that's just my personal opinion. Like, that's just the subjective thing. Know there's a lot of people that actually liked and enjoyed those episodes and like those interactions with Chidori and Sasuke. That I mean, they made a whole spin-off show for it, but that wasn't my thing. Lastly, the animation and art is okay. It's decent. I mean, it's just all right. Like it looks fine, I guess. Don't really have much to comment on about it. Yeah, just overall, it's a pretty okay show. Pretty okay. Nothing special about it. Pretty generic. Pretty just all right. All right, now that we're done with that, let's just toss that aside and talk about what this video really is about. Full Metal Panic Second Raid. And boy, is Second Raid so much better. It is better than Full Metal Panic in almost every single aspect. First of all, the most obvious notable improvement is the animation and the art. In an episode, which by the way is my favorite episode of Second Raid. It's called Edge of Heaven. I actually to talk more about the episode itself. Um, this is something where Second Raid like I really loved about it was because usually I would hate an episode where it's just Chidori and Sasuke and they're at school, but this episode, even though it was that, it was so good. It was my favorite episode of that of Second Raid and of both Full Metal Panic and Second Raid. Um, because the this season manages to focus almost entirely on its plot. You get less annoying Chidori, because she's just not really there to be a tsundere, but actually Chidori's more likable in this. You can see her because like she's struggling like with the people coming after her, so you can see her actually like more determined to fight them off. There's like I don't know, there's more of a likability to her than in Full Metal Panic. Then again, this is just my opinion when it comes to her. It's just because she's less of a tsundere in Second Raid. Um, but yeah, because I love this episode because from Full Metal Panic up until that point, there was almost no relationship growth between like Sasuke and Chidori. Like, yeah, I mean, there was some, of course, but it was just like it would happen and then they would kind of just like reset or something and then it'd just be back like to normal. But with Second Raid, it was like they're actually like being more honest with each other, which was like, oh, finally. But also, Sasuke, you can really, in this episode, you actually see the change in his character, right? Because this is the the thing that I liked the most about second raid, the biggest aspect for me was that from the get go, Sasuke starts to get character development. They build on the fact that he was super plain and it was just like a no nonsense following orders, and they make that kind of like the conflict that Sasuke has, where he's trying to find himself, his identity, who he is, and like what he wants in the future, what his future is going to be like. And he wants to continue going to school. He wants to be with Chidori. He wants to have a normal life. He wants to be normal, but he's grappling with the fact that, well, he isn't normal. That he's only seen battlefields. He has responsibilities with Mithril and stopping terrorists and just other guys trying to get their hands on like whispers. He's really the only person who can take down these guys because he's the only one that can command the arbalest and use the lambda driver. So it's like he's stuck, and he's in constant conflict with himself about like what he should do, what he wants to do, and it's really awesome to finally see him have some character development, be more dynamic, and they really build this really well, where it's like all these events happen to him and like really pushes him into the conflict. It starts building up inside. And in this episode, Edge of Heaven, one, it has the best animation, and one, it actually has a relationship building between Chidori and Sasuke, but it also where the conflict internally with Sasuke is like, it really like appears, because at the end he gets a message saying that he has to leave Chidori. He has to leave the school. He has to leave the normal life kind of that he sort of had, and he can't even contact her again. And he gets mad. He gets really mad, and it's something that you almost never you never see Sasuke get pissed at an order, but he just did. And then in the next episode, he literally yells from his balcony a bunch of classified information in order to get the dude that he knows is watching him, that's gonna take over his guarding job of Chidori, to like talk to him. And at one point, Wraith asks him, "Are you gonna disobey your orders?" And Sasuke kind of thinks about it for just a moment before ultimately his obedient soldier side plus his incredibly important responsibilities overtakes his newly found desire to want to shape his future, and where he's like independent and in control of what he does. But ultimately, yeah, the other side wins out, and he leaves Chidori, doesn't contact her about it, and he goes back to the base. But this isn't the end of like his conflict. It kind of sticks with him. He ends up constantly thinking about Chidori and like really being distracted by this internal turmoil that he has, and it kind of reaches a point where when he goes to Hong Kong, his internal conflict and him missing Chidori ends up almost costing him his mission and the life of both him and Melissa. And that's when he kind of just like, he's just done. He's out of it. He just doesn't want to deal with any of this, and he just like walks off. He literally leaves Melissa and like the entire mission and just wanders about like Hong Kong, and he kind of gets like a bottle and starts like drinking. And that's when he ends up finding a series of like hints that leads him to this room, this building, and he goes in there, and the hints are meant for him, right? So, and he knows that. So he goes in there, and guess who's there laying in a bed, almost dead but still alive? It's the unkillable antagonist, a man who's been causing so many problems for Sasuke and the rest of them since season 1. It's Gowron. He's still alive, and he ends up just egging on Sasuke. He ends up pushing Sasuke to the very limit of his internal conflict. He starts saying how Sasuke's weak, they've turned him into weak. He was so much stronger before, where he had eyes of a saint. But now he's just pathetic, and that Chidori made him weak. That's his ultimate weakness. And then to seal the whole thing, he says that they've brutally beaten and mangled Chidori. That he killed Chidori. And that's when Sasuke breaks. It's all just too much for him, and Sasuke just explodes. He stands there in the middle of the street, just completely broken. Two of his comrades that he was on mission with say that they followed him and that he needs to come back with them, because the rest of the crew is in dire straits. They're literally fighting for their lives against the enemy, and he's literally the only guy that can stop him, that can stop the enemy, that can save the rest of his crew. But Sasuke, who's just literally like done, he's broken. There's nothing left to him. He just says, there's nothing left for me. I have no future anymore. She's dead now. So you guys can go kill each other for all I care. And then one of the soldiers pulls out a gun and basically says, now you're just a soldier without a soul, so you're a killer. You're not one of us anymore. But Sasuke doesn't give a shit. He literally could not care less if that guy shot him or anything. And it's really intense. And then the arbalist gets airdropped, and so they clear the street, and Sasuke just fucking stands there as it like crashes into the ground, and he just turns and looks at it, and he's just like, hideous. I hope it rusts away. And he just starts walking away. And this is the peak. This is like, you're left wondering, like, holy shit, how is he gonna overcome this? Like, how is he gonna get back to normal if he does? And like, is the rest of his crew gonna die because of him? And it's such a it was really intense. It was so masterfully done that it just built up to this point, and you're just like excited, you're ready, you want to know what's gonna happen. The anime has you in the palm of its hand. It has the ball. It's about to score, and it doesn't just drop the ball. It fucking kicks the ball over a long ass fence and runs home. It's a complete disappointment. It's a shit show. This entire moment caused me to make this video because I was just so frustrated at this. The whole solution, the resolution to this, basically this climax of like his character, ends up just being like resolved. The problem resolves itself literally 2 seconds after this happens, because Chidori just randomly shows up somehow, coincidentally, and just punches him, hits him a few times, and then he just like, oh shit, she's alive. Oh, snap back to my regular self that I was before. And he goes into the arbalist. He just defeats the bad guy like so easily. His lambda driver, which he wasn't able to use, which was, by the way, also a part of the internal conflict that he had with himself. It starts working now. He's able to just use it. Oh, boop, it's done. Bad guy's dead. Everyone goes home. Everyone's happy. He gets to continue guarding Chidori. Shows over guys. Go home. Like, okay, that's fantastic. Except it's not. It's fucking cringe. Okay? Like, wow, she just got airdropped into a fucking active combat zone, and then just happened to randomly find him coincidentally at the one moment where he was completely lost, completely broken. She just managed to find him, and then one pep talk later, he's just completely back to normal. Like, all that shit that he was dealing with before just vanished into thin air. Like, come on, man. It's just so disappointing, because up until that point, it was so good. It was so good. And I just can't let that ending go. I just can't. Which is why Full Metal Panic, the second raid, is almost a masterpiece. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.